He's out there because he ultimately has no choice. She's gonna pick that guy that's lean every single time. Because deep down, I know I'm just meant for so much more. What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy T Millions, aka Ty, and I'm back with another video, man. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff for the algorithm, and be sure to follow me on all platforms at T Millions. And without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now, I'll be honest, fellas, I would say about 2 weeks ago, I had a good realization of why I have to make it. Why I have to be different. Why I cannot be the regular Joe Schmo just waiting for retirement age and, getting that retirement check. Because deep down, I know I'm just meant for so much more. Ever since I was a little kid, I always knew I was meant for more. And so for you guys who do not know, I have this part-time job / side hustle, whatever you want to call it, to put some money in my pockets. And that's through baseball umpiring. So on the weekends, I pretty much referee baseball games. And, I say this in just about every single video, but the main reason that I do this is because right now I understand it takes sacrifice to get me to the point that I want to be at. Yes, can I go get me a regular 9-to-5 job? Of course. But then that takes away from, me creating content, me doing the real needle moving tasks to really excel me to the life that I want to live. If that means, taking a smaller paycheck right now just to keep my head afloat and to invest into, the things that I want to do, then I'm fine by doing that. Yeah, I could go get the 9-to-5 that ties me down for a majority of the day throughout the week. But like I said, I understand it takes sacrifice. Because I know that deep down, looking back at it 2-3 years from now, I'm going to be so happy with the decisions and the choices that I made to get me to the point that I know I'm going to get to. But anyways, in regards to me umpiring, man, about 2 weeks ago, I was working with this one other guy, right? And I want to say he was in between the 60 to 62 range. So he wasn't crazy old, but he was definitely getting to that age. You know what I mean? And, great guy. I have nothing bad to say about him. But, me being around him for 2 days in a row, it really opened my eyes, man. And, of course, I'm not going to name this individual. But like I said, great guy. I have nothing but respect for him. But like I was saying, he was about 62 years old, about 5'8", African-American guy. And he was no lie, he was probably about 150 pounds overweight. So let's say, for example, me 5'10 and a half, pushing 5'11 with shoes on. I'm about 180 pounds. While the guy I was working with, he was 5'8", let's say closer to 300 pounds. And 300 pounds is a lot different on a 5'8" individual compared to like a 6'4" and a half, 6'5" individual. It's night and day the way that looks. So like he's clearly overweight, but not like a little overweight, like a lot overweight. Like he struggles to move, right? And so anyways, he lets me know in advance, like, hey man, I can't move around that good. And when you're umpiring, you have 2 umpires on the baseball field. You have one behind the plate calling balls and strikes, and then you have one in the field. Now, both of them have their pros and cons. Each job has its pros and cons when you're umpiring. But when you're umpiring behind the plate, you don't have to do as much moving. When you're in the field, you have to do a lot more moving, but, you you're not so dialed in. When you're behind the plate, you have to keep track of, the count. So whether it's one ball, two strikes on a batter, or, however many outs and, stuff like that, because you have to pay attention to each and every single pitch. While the guy in the field, he can kind of mentally, duck off because all he's worried about is calling outs and safe and out. That's all he's worried about at the end of the day. So, me being younger, 26 years old, I told him, no problem, do whatever you want to do. And, when we finally get to the field and I finally see him for the first time, because this is my first time working with him. And I'll be honest, man, the parking from the car to the baseball field, it was a lot longer than usual, than most parks. But, when I was walking with him down to the field, you could tell he was struggling. He had me carry this chair for him so he could sit in. And, he would tell me, he told me probably like 3 times, like, hey, man, you don't have to, walk with me. You can go ahead and walk to the field. I'm like, nah, man, I ain't in no rush, And, we finally get to the field and stuff like that. Like, man, he's like, just to even walk from here to here, he has like a bad limp. Very bad limp. And he's overweight, so all that pressure he's putting on his legs does not help at all. It doesn't. So it even came to a point where the other coaches that we seen throughout the day were coming up to me like, man, he's struggling, man. There was a point in time where I think he caught like a cramp in his leg during the middle of the game, and we had to, give him like 5 minutes to, calm down and for the cramp to go away. And in between each and every inning, like he had to take a seat and sit down and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm not knocking my man, but it's like, it's really deterring him from umpiring, from being honest. And so, you got people feeling bad for him and, constantly asking him like, hey, man, you good? There was a point in time during the game where like, when we're playing on a dirt field, every so often, the umpire behind the plate has to wipe off the home plate because dirt gets all over it. And there was a point in time where, the catcher, I think he might have done it like twice, but he wiped off the plate for the umpire. Mind you, me playing all the way to college, I've never seen that before. But that's how long it took him to just move around. And mind you, the home plate to, where he sets up at is probably the distance between me and this phone that I'm talking to right now. So it's not even a full 4 steps away from him. But the thing is, he like, and I'm not trying to be funny, but he kind of like, he kind of like waddles when he walks because he just can't take those full steps. And, I say all that to say, man, like, that's why the number one thing each and every single man I feel like needs to focus on first is the body. Even when you're 60, 65 years old, you still want to be that strong individual able to carry himself around. Now, I understand that injuries happen and stuff like that, but, just being overall overweight, that's, that just makes it even worse on your body if you are dealing with bad knees and a bad back and stuff like that. Carrying around all that extra weight does not help you at all. As a man, you don't want people feeling bad for you. And the thing is, I feel bad for even saying this right now because he could tell that people felt bad for him. And I'm pretty sure he's at this point like used to it or numb to it in a way, but like I'm pretty sure that mentally plays a toll on him. Man, I got these people feeling bad for me all the time. Like, that's just not a good way to go, man. It's not. So as a man, you want to stay on top of your physique because it's just not to look good while you're young. is to stay looking good while you get older and still be functional while you're older. Prime example is this guy that goes to my gym, my local gym. He's 65 years old, 3 years older than the guy that I'm describing, and he's in 10 times better shape than he is. And I'm pretty sure all of y'all know some type of 65-year-old that's in a lot better shape than the guy that I'm explaining. But like, that's what it's about, man. Like, the 65-year-old will probably take care of that 62-year-old just because there's a night and day difference in physical shape and physical endurance. So you want to take care of that, man. I mean, just looking at it from a women's perspective, like, especially us young, my guy, if you're overweight, she's going to pick that guy that's lean every single time. She's going to take that guy when he takes his shirt off, he got the abs popping, chest popping. She's going to pick that every single time over the guy with the stomach. I promise you. Now, granted, if she does pick the guy with the stomach, it's because at this point, she's dealt with, some of those guys that were in tip-top shape and maybe they didn't treat her right. So now she's settling. But you don't want a girl to pick you because she's settling, dog. You don't. But I digress. So, yeah, man, that's number one, man. He was 62 years old and just completely out there hurting. And mainly, the main reason was just because he was overweight. Like he was telling me, yeah, man, my leg, it kind of does this and that on me. But it's like, dude, if you would lose 100 to 150 pounds, like your legs will probably feel a lot more better because it's not carrying around all that extra weight. You're just putting more pressure. I guarantee you your leg pain wouldn't be so significant if you lost some of that weight. And the second thing that I really want to hit on when it comes to that is like, man, like he's 62 years old out there in the heat with me all day, a 26-year-older busting his butt to make some money. Fellas, if that doesn't wake you up to say, I don't want to be 62 years old trying to make money, in that type of environment, what are we doing? You should want to get out the matrix because of that. Me, that opened my eyes to like, yeah, I already have a set plan for myself, but that just pushes me even harder because I definitely don't want to be that guy. I definitely don't want to be him. I don't want to be 62 years old, still out there umpiring. Because regardless, no matter how tip-top shape I'm in, at 62, my body is going to feel a lot more fragile than what it is at 26. I can guarantee it. I don't want to be 62 out there making what a 26-year-old is making. Yes, it's a good starter job, but that's all it should be, is a starter job. Make quick money, go home. He's out there because he ultimately has no choice. So whatever you're good at, man, monetize that, man. Make some money off of that. Me personally, what I'm good at. For one, I'm good at the fitness aspect of things, getting guys into good shape. Like this, and like this. That's what I'm good at. I'm also good at just the overall self-improvement. Fellas, before I got into college, I didn't have a beard. I didn't. I couldn't even grow facial hair. You know what I mean? I barely had chin hair, barely had a thick mustache. But from me just doing a lot of research and, figuring things out, I have this type of beard that I have today. And a lot of y'all may think, wow, that's a full beard. But it's like, dude, if you would have seen me 5 years ago, didn't have none of this. Just overall taking care of myself, dressing, like all that is self-improvement. And even when it comes to just making money, like I said, since I was young, I always knew I was meant for more. You know, money's not the say all be all like I thought it was in the beginning when I was 12, 13, 14. But now I understand that with money comes freedom. And that's the ultimate way to live. You know, having a purpose by God, you know, following his commandments and stuff like that. But outside of that, having freedom with that, it's a cherry on top. You don't want to be 62 years old like, man, I got to go to work Monday, yada, yada, yada. You don't. And especially while we're young, let's have that freedom now. That's why I'm pushing so hard. I want to get a YouTube video out every single day. I want to post 2 to 3 reels every single day on my social media, short form platforms like TikTok, Instagram. You know, one thing that I'm starting to do a lot more of is reading. I finally understand that learning is such a unrecognized skill for younger individuals. And if you do understand that when you're young, it's because you're maturing. It's because you're surrounding yourself with people that has ultimately told you that, you know, you need to better educate yourself. So, yeah, man, if you took anything away from this video, man, for one, take care of your body. Not just for right now, but for later down the road. And 2, get out the matrix, dog. You know, don't be 60, 65 years old, still working that job that you hate, just trying to scratch it by. Especially while you're young, you can't fail. If you show up each and every single day, you cannot fail. Because by you showing up each and every single day, you're constantly getting better. You're constantly improving. And when time goes by, you look back a year or 2 ago from where you're at today, and you'll see the drastic improvements that you've made over the long run. And at this point, it's just a matter of time. So keep going. Do not stop. Keep going. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep showing up physically. Keep showing up mentally. And just keep showing up when it comes to making money financially. So that's the YouTube video for today, man. If you want to work with me one-on-one, you want to have a brother to grind with in the trenches, in that dungeon, click the link in the bio. I say it over and over. Again, I'm not one of these gurus. I'm not one of these coaches that's trying to persuade you like I know it all. I don't. But I've came a long way. And where I'm trying to reach, I'm nowhere close to that. So if you want a brother like myself to grind with, to hold you accountable, to level up with me as well, click the link in the bio. I'm not a coach for everybody. I will hold you accountable. I'm big on telling you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. In order to grow, you have to be uncomfortable. Because where you're at right now, the stage you're at right now, if you're watching this video right now, it's because you're looking for the answers of how to improve your life. And clearly what you've been doing has not been working. You got to break the cycle of being comfortable and get used to the pain of being uncomfortable. I promise you. So yeah, man, that's the video for today. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, click the link in that bio. Be sure to follow me on all platforms at T Millions. And I'll see y'all boys on the next video. Let's get it.